Thursday edition of the Locked On NFL podcast. It is the best football weekend of the year. The top 8 divisional round has arrived. We're going to talk about all the games and where will Aaron Rodgers play next year. We'll discuss all that and more on a Thursday edition of the Locked On NFL podcast. Let's roll, baby.
You are Locked On NFL, your daily NFL podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Football fans, it is divisional weekend. We got a lot of excellent playoff games to discuss. But first, Aaron Rodgers making some headlines as he typically does, going on the Pat McAfee show earlier in the year. Will Rodgers play next year? Where will he play? We will discuss before. Do want to let you know that today's episode of Locked On NFL is presented by Prize Picks. Prize Picks is daily fantasy made easy. You pick 2 to 5 players, and if they score more or less than their Prize Picks projection, you can win up to 10 times your money on your entry. First-time users can receive a 100% instant deposit match up to $100 with promo code Locked On. That's prizepicks.com. Promo code Locked On. Thanks for making Locked On NFL. Yes, thanks for making Locked On NFL your first listen every day. Free Monday through Friday NFL content all year round. Make sure you subscribe on whatever platform you do stream, including the Locked On NFL YouTube channel. But Aaron Rodgers went on Pat McAfee's show earlier this week, and he did not sound like a guy who was ready to quit playing football, but he also didn't necessarily sound like a guy who was going back to the Packers. He talked about the fact that he could still play at an MVP level. There are some, including Rob Gronkowski, in the NFL community who looked at those comments and said, hey, man, why are you more worried about MVPs than Super Bowls? I think that's reading a little bit too far into it, but either way, Aaron Rodgers did not sound like a guy who didn't want to play football next year or planned on retiring. With that being said, where will Aaron Rodgers play next year? We're going to look at the odds from our official sponsor, betonline.net. Right now, they have the 49ers as the favorite, if not Green Bay. These teams don't include Green Bay. The 49ers at plus 350. The Tennessee Titans at number 2 at plus 500, the Colts at plus 600, the Jets at plus 750, the Raiders at plus 750, and then after that you have teams like the Saints, the Commanders, the Panthers, the Patriots, and the Buccaneers. So it gets a little bit longer odds after that, but hearing those teams, Alex, just on first blush, not taking into account contract and all of that, where do you think is the best fit for Aaron Rodgers next season?
I mean, the best fit for Aaron Rodgers is also the best fit for any other quarterback that's a free agent in San Francisco. It's set. Brock Purdy's done it. Jimmy Garoppolo's done it. Imagine Aaron Rodgers going to that offense. Now, that's not to say that it wouldn't add more circus, which it would. It wouldn't add more convoluted team building, which it would. And that's not to say that Brock Purdy's not the better option right now. For team building purposes, what the 49ers have done is they haven't paid their quarterback nearly as much as other teams who have, QB1s who've made a lot of money. Sure, Jimmy Garoppolo got, $137.5 million with that contract extension years ago, which is a long ways away. And now it's been rookies, so they've been able to use that money elsewhere. And that's why they've been able to build out such a great roster. But I do think it's the 49ers. And I do think he cares more about MVPs and winning because he always has. So I don't think that's reading too much into it. I think that's Aaron Rodgers being Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, that seems fair. I mean, I think San Francisco would be a great fit. Obviously, he grew up in the area, so that makes sense. Outside of that, I like the Jets. Again, the Jets are one quarterback away from being able to make some real noise with the roster they have. You add in some of their key players getting healthy going into next season, another offseason to add pieces and make the team better. They're looking to hire a new offensive coordinator, and coincidentally, earlier this week, they interviewed Nathaniel Hackett, the former OC from the Green Bay Packers, who obviously bombed out in Denver after one season as the head coach there. But just because he was a terrible head coach doesn't mean that he can't, be a good offensive coordinator. And with the familiarity with Aaron Rodgers, I think the Jets would actually be the best fit for Aaron Rodgers. But here's the reality. There's just no clean way for Aaron Rodgers to not play for the Packers next year. I mean, if they were to outright cut him, they have $99 million in dead cap in the next season. It's just not going to happen. They're just not going to do that. And even if they were to trade him or release him if they trade him after June the 1st, then it becomes manageable. Then they save $15 million on the cap. They only have $15 million of dead cap. They have $24 million of dead cap in 2024. But again, they probably have a cheap quarterback at that time. So unless this is a trade that's consummated after June the 1st, financially, it would be an outright disaster for the Packers. And there's no way that they would accommodate that. So if we do see Rodgers leave Green Bay, it'll be after June the 1st. And at that point, anything is on the table. I like what you said with the 49ers. I think that does make the most sense overall. But for me, I think the Jets would be even more of a perfect fit for Rodgers because at the end of the day, I don't think San Francisco wants kind of a star. I'm sure they would love a guy to have that kind of talent. But Aaron Rodgers just doesn't seem like the type of personality that would work in San Francisco. I feel like there would be a clash between Shanahan and him. So while that is on paper, you're 100% right. That's the best fit. I think Rodgers would rather go the Brett Favre route and go to the Jets and be a star in New York and have a little more authority, I guess, especially with them bringing in a new offensive coordinator, maybe some whispers about who Rodgers wants that to be, all of that. So I think the Jets are also a very good pick there, but very interesting to see.
Yeah, I know. And it does kind of feel like if he were to get traded there, it's kind of Kevin Durant-y a little bit because he hasn't beat San Francisco in any important game since he's been a quarterback. Yeah. So it's like if you can't beat them, join them. This ain't the playground, kiddo. You know, like that's not what this is. So I think ego-wise, it would be tough for him, even though he grew up there, you know, going to the Raiders would make more sense for his Northern California roots than going to, even though they're in Vegas now, than going to San Francisco because San Francisco would be the Kevin Durant-y way out of it. Yeah, ready-made and a team that, you know, that's beat him senseless.
That's just an absolute great comparison, Alex. This is why you are pros pro. That would 100% make a ton of sense. Join the team that you can't beat every year that's already got a stacked roster. And then, of course, we'll have, if for some reason he went there, they won, we'd have the debates on who gets the credit and all. It is very similar to the Kevin Durant Golden State experience. What an excellent comparison there by you. But with that in mind, we are going to move forward here. A lot of football this weekend to break down. We got the divisional round ahead of us. We are going to start with the Saturday games, work our way into the Sunday games. Can't wait. It is the best weekend of football of the year. Before we get into it, do want to tell you a little bit more about our sponsor, betonline.net. BetOnline is your number one source for sports betting info, stats, news, and analysis. You can get all the latest odds and trends for every professional and amateur league out there. They have pro and college football, pro and college basketball. They even have esports at betonline.net. They're always the fastest and easiest way to get your betting info. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more. BetOnline, where the game starts.
Locked on NFL Thursday. He is Tyler Rowland of Locked on Titans at TikTok Titans on Twitter. Locked on Cardinals for me at Clancy's Corner.
Big week for us, Alex. New general managers for both our teams.
Yeah, flopsies for you and me flip flopsies.
Right.
And well, you know, like put it this way, both teams are in, I think, a better position than they were in 48 hours ago, which is a great thing for all your Titans information, for your Cardinals information. You can check us out free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, respectively. I mean, divisional round. Why is this happening? Why can't we just go back to week one? I want to go back to week one, even if it happens all the same. And you just etch-a-sketch my brain. However it happens, I wish we had more football. But divisional round is ahead of us. 2 games Saturday, 2 games Sunday. Sunday seems to be the crown jewel of the weekend, but that's not to say there's some great storylines on Saturday. So let's break down the Saturday games. The matinee, Jacksonville Jaguars, the startup Jacksonville Jaguars, goes to Arrowhead. They go to Arrowhead to play the Kansas City Chiefs. Let's put it this way. If the Jaguars go down 27-0 against Kansas City Chiefs, they ain't coming out alive. So it'll be interesting to see what young Trevor Lawrence does with, like, did he Joe Burrow week 1 it out of his system when Joe Burrow had a massive amount of turnovers week 1 against Pittsburgh, and then he just became Joe Burrow again? Was that just getting the rust off? Was that pulling the wrapper off the box for Trevor Lawrence? It'll be interesting to see. And as I said, Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs will win the Super Bowl this year. I said it during the preseason. This is his just reemergence as, say what you want about Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, Joe Burrow, etc. I'm still me. And I think that this is just going to be another reminder of that. And I think they're going to win in convincing fashion. The Chiefs will.
You could say his name is Patrick Mahomes.
I mean, you could. All right. I don't know why anybody would, but you could.
This is why Titans Reddit says I'm not funny. Moving forward. But no, I agree with you. I think that Patrick Mahomes is here to assert himself as, yes, I am the best quarterback. You can love all your new, fresh faces and all that, but I'm still the guy. At the end of the day, though, I do think Jacksonville will play a lot better in this game. Right now, they're 8.5-point underdogs. I think that's probably a little too much. I think what we saw from Jacksonville was playoff jitters. A team that doesn't make the playoffs a lot historically. A lot of guys on Jacksonville who have never been in the playoffs before. A lot of young, talented players on that team. Their best players are a lot of guys who haven't had a lot of playoff experience. So I think they were a little nervous coming in. And of course, you know, the Chargers are a good football team as well. So I think that's what happened. I think Jacksonville is going to be past that. They're going to come out and not just fall down immediately out of the gate. They're going to give the Chiefs a run for their money in the first half. I think by the end of the game, Kansas City just relies on that playoff experience. They don't, get tight in the fourth quarter, and they're able to play their best football. So I think that Kansas City does win this game, but I think that 8.5-point spread is far too large. I think this is like a 4-point, 6-point victory for Kansas City. But we'll move right along to the second game of the day, and it'll be at 8:15 Eastern Standard Time. The New York Giants, off of a big upset over the Minnesota Vikings, going to the number 1 seed Philadelphia Eagles, who obviously had last week off with the bye. Jalen Hurts seems to be fully healed. He's not even on the injury report with that shoulder issue. So we're getting full steam ahead. Eagles against a Giants team that's hot. Alex, we collectively have a twinkle in our eye right now seeing Daniel Jones do what he's doing. Talent
Welcome late to the party, bro. Where were you 2 years ago?
Always there. But he's doing it. He's doing it right now. He's looking fantastic out there. Right now, the spread on that game is 7.5. How do you see this game going? Who do you think is going to win?
Ooh, mama. I mean, this is a big Nick Sirianni game. This is a big, hey, Nicky boy, what you got? You know, because it's obviously the talent level is massively weighted towards Philly. Massively. Like 1-22. Massively. Now, Saquon, standout. Daniel Jones, I'll talk about my boy in a second. What Darius Slayton has done is great. What Isaiah Hodgins has done is great. What Daniel Bellinger has done is great. The offensive line has been fine. What I call having a tea party, Daniel Jones was having a tea party in the backfield in Minnesota. There was not, I mean, he got a couple pressures, but Daniel Jones's legs and the offensive line were the catalyst for that victory. And if they can't get pressure on Daniel Jones, I don't care how good your defense is. A quarterback with a running ability in his arsenal will rip you apart. So being interdivision, Philly, the 8.5, I think is a lot. I think that's like if Philly's defense fumbles Daniel Jones and scores a defensive touchdown, I think that could get him there. I don't see Philly covering the 8.5. Like, I think that Daniel Jones is really emerging. It felt like Eli Manning in Minnesota.
Yeah.
When Eli Manning's like, I'm not that great of a quarterback. Boom, playoffs, let's go. Let's go win.
Well, to be fair, it's 7.5. How do you feel about that?
7.5. It doesn't matter. I think it's to be less than a touchdown.
Yeah. Okay. So I love that you said that because I disagree. I think Philly is going to smoke New York this week. I think the Giants are a good team. They're a good story. We should all be excited about Brian Dable and Daniel Jones. And I agree, their offensive line is very solid. They just don't have enough playmakers to score enough against this Philadelphia Eagles defense. And Philly loves to play zone defense, that Vic Fangio tree with Jonathan Gannon, a lot of quarter half, cover 6, cover 4, stuff like that. So when you play man coverage, that makes it easier for a quarterback to run and find lanes and get down the field. Zone coverage, all eyes are on the quarterback. It's going to be harder for him to do that. Philly maybe doesn't have like a Danielle Hunter pass rusher or Zadarius Smith pass rusher, but their collection of talent along the defensive line that can rotate in and out, I just think Philly's stacked. And at the end of the day, I think Philadelphia's offense has a better chance to score on the Giants' defense than the other way around. I think Philly does cover the 7.5. I think they win by about 10 or 11. So that's kind of how I'm viewing it, setting up the games that we are going to watch on Sunday, which are, they are absolutely fantastic games. And we just got some excellent football ahead of us here. Very excited to dive into all of it. Before we do, of course, Alex is going to take it away.
So there's the Sunday night game, the Sunday matinee, but first, above all, is Built Bar. This episode of Locked On NFL is brought to you by said Built Bar. If you're looking for a delicious treat, but don't want all the fat and calories, then you got to try a Built Bar. We just got through the holidays. Tyler and I are both collectively trying to burn off the sustenance that's been put in us like bears over the holidays. And what's making it more difficult is that, treats are a thing, and then you have to wean yourself off. Built Bar is a great replacement for anything sweet that you like to normally eat, okay? If you're like me and want to get healthier, but don't want to compromise taste, then you got to try Built. With Built, healthy is actually tasty. Seriously, they're so delicious, you won't think that they're good for you. Perfect for your New Year's resolutions as we get into the tail end of January. What makes Built so good? Well, for starters, they're all covered in 100% real chocolate. That's right, real chocolate. And they come in unbelievable flavors like churro, peanut butter, and coconut almond. I'm not sure how Built does it, but these bars taste like a candy bar while maintaining amazing macros. 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, 17 grams of protein. And now you won't have to wait when you order. Like we used to always say, go to Built.com, and get your order. That's right. Now you can go to your nearest Walmart, go to the pharmacy section, and get yourself a box of Built Bars. You can pick up a 4-bar box of cookies and cream double chocolate or coconut puffs. If you're close to Sam's Club, run in and get a 13-bar box with our hit flavors, brownie batter, and churro. You can thank me later.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, final segment of Locked On NFL Thursday. We talked to Aaron Rodgers and where he may play next. We talked about the Saturday games. Now to cap off with the best games of the weekend on Sunday. Before we get into that, I do want to thank you guys for making the Locked On NFL podcast your first listen every day. Remember, Monday through Friday, free NFL content on all platforms all year round. Make sure you stay locked in to the Locked On NFL podcast. But looking at these Sunday games, first, we have what I think is the best game of the entire weekend at 3 p.m. Eastern time on Sunday, the Cincinnati Bengals against the Buffalo Bills. And of course, the last time these teams played had tragedy strike. Luckily, we know now DeMar Hamlin has improved, and it looks like, maybe some of the most scary outcomes have been avoided. But with this game, those teams look like they were about to play an excellent football game. So rightfully, everyone should be excited about this matchup. Cincinnati is a 5-point underdog right now. They were about to go up 14-3 on Buffalo before the game was stopped previously. I don't understand how Cincinnati is a 5-point dog with how Buffalo played last week. Alex, do you think that Buffalo is going to win this game? Do you think they cover?
Yes, it's going to be emotionally rich. Don't know if he's going to actually be at the game or not. I don't know if that's going to be too much emotion for him so soon, especially with what fragile a state he's in right now.
Right.
We know that Joe Burrow is a killer.
Yes.
We know that.
Assassin.
Okay, that is a fact that he is a killer. Okay, he has that instinct. Not all killers look the same. You don't have to be cool and wear the Nike swoosh to be a killer. Eli Manning in the playoffs was a killer. Joe Flacco in the playoffs was a killer. Like, you don't
Nick
have
Foles.
to be. Sorry? Nick Foles.
Nick Foles.
Yeah, for like 45 seconds. That was the most ridiculous run ever by a quarterback. And he's not a good quarterback. Anyways, doesn't matter. So, but Joe Burrow, he has it all. He's young. He's an absolute A1 quarterback in the NFL, and he's an absolute bleeping killer. We don't know if Josh Allen is. We know he's incredibly talented. And we know that they were 13 or 14 seconds away with him not on the field from walking away and advancing in last year's playoffs. So a lot of it was out of his control. But what we do know is he's thrown some bad interceptions. He's had some bad turnovers in very inopportune positions as of late, towards the second half of the season. Killers don't do that in high-level situations. 5.5, I don't know. This is one of the weirdest. This is an I don't touch it game because I have no idea what's going to happen. Either Josh Allen's going to absolutely emerge and be like, not yet, Joe, or Joe Burrow is going to come in. They're going to win by 2 scores and be like, now what? And I don't know which one's going to happen, so I'm going to abstain.
I am going to bring the hammer out and hammer Cincinnati, the money line, the spread. Cincinnati's going to win this game. Cincinnati is a better football team than Buffalo. I don't know what the odds makers are doing, but you know who doesn't turn over the ball like Josh Allen? The assassin, Joe Burrow. The Cincinnati's not going to go in there and turn over the ball as much as Buffalo's going to. And Cincinnati's going to take advantage. Like I said, Cincinnati was about to go up 14-3 in that game. I believe that if the game doesn't get stopped. I just think Cincinnati's a better football team than Buffalo. I think they have a better quarterback too. Josh Allen, you're right. Flashy, tons of talent, the arm, the size, the running ability, all of that. That's great. That's great, man. You know, he's Shaq, sure. But Joe Burrow's MJ. And the Bengals have a better cast of characters on offense. The Bengals have a better defense. I don't see where Buffalo is better than Cincinnati in pretty much any realm. I mean, like Stephon Diggs and Jamar Chase, you could call that a wash if you want, but T. Higgins is better than Gabriel Davis. Joe Mixon is better than the running backs. Buffalo's offensive line is in better shape than Cincinnati's right now, but without Von Miller, I'm not incredibly scared of Buffalo's pass rush, and I don't know if they can fully take advantage of the Bengals' one weakness right now on the offensive line due to the injuries. And that Cincinnati defense led by Lou Anarumo is just so underrated. They do not give up easy scores. They barely let teams score in the second half. This is a hammer spot for Cincinnati, and we're going to see Cincinnati against Kansas City again in the AFC Championship. It's going to be a battle between the two best quarterbacks in the NFL, Joe Burrow and Patrick Mahomes. So I'm hammering Cincinnati in this one. But moving to the late game, Dallas coming off a big win against Tampa Bay. 3.5-point underdogs against San Francisco, who is just a buzzsaw right now. I'm incredibly impressed with Brock Purdy. I think Dallas looked good against Tampa, and Tampa wasn't a playoff quality team. I love San Francisco. 3.5 is tough because you get that half point. If it was just 3, I would hammer them. But I do think San Francisco wins this game. I feel pretty confident about it. And I think Dallas is more of a flash in a pan that took advantage of a non-playoff team in Tampa Bay on Monday night. And Dallas is coming off a short week. They had to play late on Monday night, and they're only going to get 6 days to rest. So I think that it's pretty simple. I think San Francisco wins this one pretty easy.
Let's see if Brocky boy can do it again. I mean, that it's kind of a wait and see. Like, you know, we can be bold, and, you know, and that what you're saying isn't bold. Like, it's, you know, let's see if the kid can do it again. Because I'll tell you what, in the first half, he looked like the last pick of the 2022 NFL draft. Didn't look good. Well, you know, he was making some not so great throws. Okay. Right. Then they harnessed it in. It was fine. They got the easy score to Christian McCaffrey, the easy score to Elijah Mitchell, where they were both wide open in their respective fields. Like, I want to see a good defense go up again. Like, you know that Dan Quinn is going to remember the Titans that blitz all night on this kid with who they have. Mm-hmm. Hopefully Micah Parsons is because he was hobbled in the game on Monday. Hopefully he comes back at full strength. That defense at full strength is, people forget how great it was early in the season. And I think this game is more exciting just because there's more unknown. it's going to be popcorn Transformers, Iron Man in the first game. Okay. This could be just an epic battle that could be 19-17 coming down to a Robbie Gould field goal at the end of the game, which, with a lot of unknown with both of these teams, that fascinates me more at this point, because we're going to get to see one of those two teams earlier in the day play Patrick Mahomes more than likely. So we're going to get to see something at a higher level. This could tell the tale of the future 5 or 7 years for both of these organizations at night with the Cowboys and 49ers.
Yeah. I'm just so excited for these games.
They're going to be great.
There's a lot of great football ahead of us on Saturday and Sunday. I'm sure you guys will enjoy it as well. Make sure that you tune back into the Locked On NFL podcast on Friday with your boy Q and Chris Carter as they continue breaking down the excellent divisional round that lies ahead of us. Make sure you subscribe to the Locked On NFL podcast for Monday through Friday, free NFL content all year round on whatever platform you do stream. That's going to do it for me, Tyler Rowland, my esteemed co-host with incredible comparisons, Alex Clancy. We'll be back with you guys next Thursday.